everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Polar Opposites. We're joined again this week by Annie, who's up at her cabin in northern Wisconsin.
Hi, everyone.
We've got Captain Keith Heger, man in the front office in Wilmette, Illinois.
Hello, everyone.
Got our man Eric Lilstrom, the tall boy, out in Oregon City.
How's it going, everybody?
All right. This week, we are kicking off our 2-week special focusing on bodily functions in cold weather expedition environments. This was inspired by last week when Eric Lilstrom divulged that he does not use a pee bottle, which caught us all off guard. For those who don't know, a pee bottle is something you can use to relieve yourself overnight when you're in your sleeping bag and you got to go. You don't need to go outside into the minus 20, minus 40 degree temperatures. Eric prefers to hold it. Eric, tell us what's up with that.
You know, it's I think that I just got a lucky shake when it comes to bladder functions, or at least at this point in my life. You know, I'm only 32 years old, and I know the days of the pee bottle are definitely on the horizon. But with my schedule the way that it is, I usually stay up late. And so I'll end up not getting into my sleeping bag before 10 or 10:30. And so I'll just go one time right before bed. And then it's usually what wakes me up around 6 or 6:30. So it gives me a reason to get out. And I've just been lucky enough to be able to hold it that length of time. So,
Eric, yeah. I think you're trying to knock those of us who are a little older than you.
I'm not trying. If I did that accidentally, I apologize.
And Eric, it's coming for you.
Well, I would love to hear plenty of tips and tricks so that when
I remember those days,
come time, I know how to do it.
I've got to use one. I got that calling at like sometimes 3:30, 4, and I can't do it in the bag. I got to kneel.
Oh, you unzip and you go all the way up.
Well, you can kind of wiggle yourself around, but you know,
we got to be careful with the wiggle and shake. All right. Well, Annie, I've always admired women who are able to use a pee bottle in the tent without going outside. When I know if I was in your situation, there would be a terrible, terrible mishap. But do you use a pee bottle? Don't you?
Yeah, I love the pee bottle, and women should not hesitate to use it. There are devices, the Shiwi and some other devices that allow you to kind of help use a bottle, but I don't use any of those. With a little practice and a wide mouth Nalgene bottle, you don't need any devices. I do need to get into the kneeling position, just like Keith, but it's really pretty easy to go to the bathroom just about anywhere if you've got that wide mouth Nalgene bottle. And I do recommend, especially to the ladies, to practice it in the shower several times before your expedition.
That's a very good suggestion, Annie. Practice makes perfect. Don't want to be practicing when you're out on expedition. Anyone have any pee bottle mishap stories? Any cautionary tales about pee bottles for our viewers out there? Yeah, Mr. Heger, fire away. Fire away. You look like you got something.
Oh, in the saga to save weight, you buy the soft-sided bottle. And those aren't necessarily always 100% waterproof or watertight. You can spring a little hole in there. Moving on with the analogies. So yeah, when you're using those, make sure to pressure test your soft-sided water sack.
All right. And do you go 32-ounce Nalgene, or are you a full 48er?
64 with the little handle allows for greater quantity, but those things crunch up, so the extra area helps with management.
Sure. Sure. You don't want to run out of
I
space.
always get nervous. I get nervous using soft-sided pee bottles because you have to be sure that the whole pee bottle is kind of extended. If there's a crimp in it anywhere, you know, especially in the middle, you could be going thinking you're all good, and then all of a sudden you just hear that sound of the pee approaching the top of the bottle, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then there's a moment of panic before you feel it spill over. So I've moved away from the soft-sided Nalgene's, and I'm just a hard-sided.
I'm with you.
Same way. Hard shell's the way to go. Eric, you'll catch up with us one of these days. You'll figure it out.
I didn't even
Good
know
luck,
that,
Eric.
that some people pee 64 ounces at one time.
No, it's
Like, this is a much bigger problem than I had initially thought it might be.
it's the capacity that you're looking for.
It's to use Hager's phrase from earlier, the wiggle room you're looking for, not the absolute volume that you need. All right, Hager, we're going to stay on you. The classic debate from episode 1 of Polar Opposites is, how do you clean up after number 2? Do you use a snowball or do you use TP? We've got all of our opinions on the record, but not yours. So the floor is yours, sir.
First off, it's done carefully.
It's done carefully.
And it's done with toilet paper. And if I'm feeling like today's a winning day, it'll include warmed up, individually wrapped wet wipes in a Ziploc bag so that I can pack out all of my trash after I'm carefully depositing.
Okay, pre-warmed. You're a hard man, but you're a show pony sometimes. Jeez.
Show pony, indeed. I'm all about
I've got to say that is the luxury method, and once you get it locked down, once you figure out the system, there is no other way to go.
In all seriousness, it does take practice, and you should strive and to thrive.
Should strive to thrive. Absolutely.
That's good.
All right. Well, moving on.
I want
go
to
for
point out really quick. I want to point out that we all have different pooping mechanisms, different pooping styles, and but one thing can happen to any one of us, and that's an accident. And it's really common when you're wearing big, bulky clothing and boots, and you're outside and you have a fur ruff on or goggles, that you just don't see everything that's going on. And if that's the case, don't worry about it. If you have an accident, don't worry about it. Just let that item stay outside and freeze, and then scrape it off. But don't try to wash your hands with water while you're outside, or wash your gloves with water. Just let it freeze and move on to your backup pair of gloves. This is for your safety mostly, but it happens to all of us. So it has happened to all of us at one point or another.
Absolutely. There can be some serious embarrassment going on, but like you say, it's happened to all of us, and it's not a big problem. Easily fixed, more easily than you imagine. So moving on to our final topic here, we are talking vapor barriers or no. Our bodily function of this subject is foot sweat and foot funk. For those who don't know, vapor barriers are usually a plastic layer that you put inside of your boot liners so that your foot sweat does not leak into your boot liners, which would then eventually freeze throughout the course of a longer expedition. Some people swear by them. Some people hate them. I've tried to make vapor barriers work for me. They never do. I'm never happy with them. What do you guys do?
I'll take this one from the get-go. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Roger Bailey, who suggested this topic in the comments on last week's video. And if you have any topics you'd like us to talk about, feel free to drop a comment there. But his question was, how do you keep your feet warm and dry? And personally, those things for me are mutually exclusive. I think that the best way to keep your feet dry is to keep your feet warm is to keep your boots dry. That means keeping your liners dry, and the only way that I can do that, because my feet sweat a lot, is to use a vapor barrier. And that just contains all of the sweat right against my foot and keeps it from going out into the boot liner to then freeze later. So the boots maintain all of their functionality for insulation. And then also it allows me to wear a thinner sock, which for me is more comfortable. But it does then require some maintenance at the end of the day, because I have a thin, wet sock that I've got to get out of, dry my feet, put on new dry socks. And so it's all part of the system.
That sock probably smells fantastic too, huh?
Yeah, after the third day or so, it's really not wearable.
Do you rotate socks?
I usually wear the same pair of skiing socks 3 days in a row and then switch to a clean pair.
Okay. What do you like to do, Annie?
I'll just jump in. I'm all about the vapor barrier. I am all about it. It has made my life so much easier managing my feet using that vapor barrier. I know it's not for everyone, but it's for me. And I wear compression socks, and they're not too tight, so they support the blood flow to my toes rather than restrict it. They help me throughout the day, and I found them to be really great. So I wear my vapor barrier over my knee-high compression socks, my mid-calf compression socks. And at the end of the day, I take off the vapor barriers. I let the steam kind of steam off my socks, and then I take them off, and they dry in about 10 minutes. And then I just wear them in my shirt, the socks, until the next morning when I put them on. They're nice, they're dry, they're warm. But my boot liners, I never have to dry, and those take a long time to dry. And my boots start off warm every day. I have a little Nalgene bottle that I like to put hot water in, and I slide it into my boot right before I put my foot in there. And it's just a great way to start the day. But I'm all about vapor barriers.
All right, Mr. Heger, what do you say?
Well, I would ask, where am I heading? And if I'm heading to a humid, cold environment, then I'd opt for the vapor barrier. If I'm crossing Greenland, I'm going to be wearing the vapor barrier in my triple N BC boots, because those boots don't have a removable shell, and so they'll just be full of water. And so it's more about my footwear care, because I know I have this strategy to keep myself warm with or without. If I'm in Antarctica, I don't wear them because I have the luxury of a really dry environment that will dry things out. And so that's the question. That's the answer to that question. I'm curious, Eric, you obviously wear the liner sock inside the vapor barrier, but what drove me nuts when I've tried that is my foot sliding around. So I need to put another layer over that. And that's like a medium weight hiker. And I've gone to Annie's compression sock. So now I'm using like a medium weight compression sock underneath the vapor barrier, and then another layer on top of that to keep the vapor barrier from sliding.
Yeah, I've just got like a medium lightweight hiking sock, like a mostly wool sock that as a base layer, and then I actually use some kind of taller, heavier duty shopping bags. And so they've got a handle on each side, and I step into that and slide that directly into the boot, no sock on top of it. And the foot slides a little bit, but every other break or so, I'll just reach down and tug up on the handles of the bag to get it back in place.
That's what's driven me crazy in the past. And I'm blessed with excellent circulation to my hands and feet. So I just wear as little on my feet as I can and try and stay cool throughout the day that way, as foot sweat can be a big issue for me. Last question, real quick, guys, 5 seconds or less. Do you do anything at the end of the day to deodorize your feet for your tent mate's benefit? Baby powder, baby wipes, yay or nay?
I'll take that first. Yeah, I absolutely, and not even at the end of the day. It's, as soon as the tents get set up, as soon as I'm, right after the tents get set up, I'm looking to change out of my ski boots into my tent boots. And that's where I stop, take my vapor barriers off, take my wet socks off, use some Gold Bond powder, and then put a nice thick, dry wool sock on and go into my tent boots and live in those for the rest of the evening.
We lost you there for a minute, Annie. I heard smells like roses, so thank you. I'll accept the compliment. And tease next week a little bit, where we'll be talking more about moisture management and skin issues that can be unique to cold weather expeditions, and a few more surprises along the way. Anyone got anything they want to tell us before signing off? Big weekend plans?
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
See you next week, guys. Thank you.